Hey guys, Report Rockstar here. Today we're going to take a look at hexadecimal values and how to convert those into an RGB colors. So let's take a look here in our spreadsheet. Most of these are just going to be hard-coded so far, and then we'll have some formulas through the RGB, and then our macro is going to convert the RGB values that we have converted into a color so we can actually see it. Alright. So hexadecimal, if you're not real familiar with it, quick tutorial on that, just a brief history. In our mathematical system, we use a base 10 system. Simply means we have 10 characters that we build our number system off of. If you're looking at hexadecimal, that is considered a base 16 system, and so it is not going to be quite simple if you're not familiar with it. Now, it's not hard, but just a little different way to think about it. So base 16, now we now have 16 characters. 9 just continues on to A, B, C, D, E, F. And so there's 16 values there, F being the greatest, which represents basically number 15. If you wanted to think of it that way, incrementally. So when you see a hex number, you're going to see a combination of letters and numbers. So you'll probably have already seen that, but if not, now you know what that's about. Let's take a look at the hex number and how the sequence, or how it's laid out. The first two zeros represent the red attribute. Green are the center two green values, and the blue values are the last two zeros. So when we convert that, we'll take a look at these formulas. We're going to use the hex to dec, or hexadecimal to decimal formula, and that is simply converting the hexadecimal to a decimal. We're going to use a mid formula, and that is simply saying take values in A2. We're going to move in 2 characters, so the pound and the first 0, so that's 2 characters, and then this other 2 says we're going to take the next 2 characters. So we're in 1, 2 on the first 0, we're going to take 2 characters from there, so you start on the same one, so the first 0, move in 1 more, that's the second, so you get those first 2. So we're taking a hexadecimal value for 0, 0, the first 2 zeros. Incrementally, we're just going to move straight across. Now we're moving in 4 and taking the next 2, then 6, taking the next 2. So you can see we get the full value of 6 characters. In this case, 0, 0, 0 is black. So let us now try another example. We said F was the greatest value, which now we see we get the full possible color there of 255 on each one of those guys. And so we can think, well, if all zeros is black, the presence of every color maxed out, what would that be? And well, just a minute, I don't really like to hit Alt F8. So to get me to my macro, let's get a button. Let's get a cool button. Play. Let's play. Alright. Here we go. Right click, assign macro, color. Okay. So with the cell selected, G in the G column, where we want to change, we can run the macro, and that turns our cell white, because that is FFFFFF in hexadecimal. Let's run a few more examples just for theory about an FF0000. Well, since these are broken into red, green, and blue, we can see the first 2, or the red values, FF, are the strongest that we have. So if you multiply those together, you in essence get 255, 256, which is the 256 color palette. So that is how that is a direct correlation. Now let's run, if you haven't figured out what color that is, let's add another one here. And finally one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, FF. Okay. So we can see, based off of that, this is a good visual representation of what we just talked about. We have 255 for the red, which is full red, and 0 for green, 0 for blue. So it's pretty obvious to see that's going to be a bright red. Now we have the next one. Well, only has green value, so bright green. And yep, you guessed it, bright blue. So let's just be consistent here with our area or color. Perfect. Alright, so you say, well, who cares? What's that? Who cares about that? What this can be used for is, other than converting hex to RGB, you can save these. If you're, I don't know, hopping around on a website and you see a color scheme or a couple colors that you think really go well together, you want to keep a note of for later, you can do that. You can save it here once you find the hex number, then you'll have those for later. I've used this also for a company logo. I wanted to take a color or two off of and then incorporate that into the reports that I was writing. Just kind of a nice little touch to make it look professional, and most people probably don't pick up on things like that, but it's a nice touch, and people that do think it's pretty awesome. So, and because you made it. You want to do good work. Alright, let's take a look then. Let's say, hey, Google. Wow, what is that color there? Man, pretty colors. There's kind of a reddish, rust orange-ish color. What is that color? How are you going to find out? Well, Control U takes us to our source code. You can ignore most of this stuff. I've done a little bit of poking around prior. However, if you wanted to search, you could search for, say, a pound. That might get you somewhere. I mean, there's a lot of pounds in here that aren't hex values. You kind of have to poke around. Color. There's like background color, BG color is that. In this case, it's going to be just white. So yeah, FFFF. But at any rate, I've poked around a little bit already and kind of found what I wanted to look at, which just happens to be this hex value, DD4B39. And if you remember, F is the strongest or the highest value in hex in the base 16, and D is, well, not too far away, and it's a D and a D, a double D. Hey, we like that. But at any rate, as far as numbers go, DD is a high value, so that's a high red value. And for B, we had another number here, which is higher than letter, which is higher than a number. So the green value is going to be not too high, but higher than the blue value of 3 and 9. So anyway, let's copy this over. Looks like it's going to be a strong red color. So what are we going to get? Let's copy that in. This is off of Google. What color is this going to be? And we can see here, yep, strong red, and green, and even less blue. And what do we get when we run our macro? Hey, look, it's kind of that, whatever color you want to call that, red, rusty. The only problem with this is it's not built to tell me what color that is. If there's a specific name for that exact RGB combo. But at any rate, we can see visually that, hey, look, yeah, we've matched the O. And looks like the E is pretty much the same color. So anyway, Google, I'm going to say letter O of Google logo. Perfect. So now you can impress your friends. Go. Okay. Anyway, you can see how that kind of works now, and I'm familiar with hex a little bit better. Alright, let's take a look at the code. While we're here, this is simply taking three variables, R, G, and B, all as integers, and we're assigning R to, we have to have the caveat is I've built this so it has to just have the cursor selected in column G of the row that we want to convert or show the color for. So in this case, I'm going to put it on G7. So at any rate, R equals the active cell, which is G7 right now. Offset, 0 rows, and 3 columns to the left because it's negative. So 1, 2, 3. So 221 is now equal to R. G is the same thing except offset by 2, so that's 75, and B is 57. So we've just loaded these into 3 variables. Then we're taking the active cell, the interior color, or basically the cell color, equals RGB values. We could plug in values here if we wanted, or since we've assigned variables, it just picks up our variables. And that's how we run our macro. You could certainly make this be more dynamic if you wanted, and have it say update anytime you put a value in column A. You could get more complex, but this is simple. We like to keep things simple. So there it is. I'm not posting it to download because it's that simple. You can just follow the video and recreate this yourself if you like. But you can save these colors and make your own, the ones you like, for whatever application. Web design, report design, or if you just like colors, that's okay too. Anyway, have a good evening, and I hope this is useful. Subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you. More videos on the way. Report Rockstar signing out.